Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I'm doing something that I've thought about doing for a little while, and finally today I decided that I would actually go through with it because I feel like there's a lot of pressure in this video to be a good photo editor, and maybe I'm a terrible photo editor. Who knows? Maybe some of you will watch this video and be like,
oh, your photo editing sucks.
But hopefully you won't. But anyway, putting your own kind of technique out there on the internet can be kind of terrifying. So that's why it took me a while to actually make this kind of video, but I'm finally gonna just bite the bullet and do it. Today, I'm going to be walking you guys through my process of how I edit my cosplay photos, because I thought that might be helpful for some of you watching. And I don't see a lot of videos about cosplay photo editing, and it is something that is quite integral to making cosplay content. So I thought it would be helpful if I made a video just showing you guys some of the basic techniques that I use to edit my photos and make them look nicer. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be diving into the magic of photo editing. And speaking of magic, we have a very exciting sponsor for today's video, because today's video is kindly sponsored by Switchcraft. Switchcraft is a gripping choose-your-own-adventure mystery with TV-worthy writing about modern-day witches with a strong female protagonist named Bailey, who is dead set on solving the disappearance of her friend. Throughout this game, there are thousands of match 3 levels to play through, and they are super fun to play through. Not only does this game have a gripping, very intriguing story, as well as fun levels to play, but also has a stunning art style with its aesthetic resembling modern-day graphic novels. Overall, this game is a real treat to play. It is so intriguing, it is so beautiful to look at, it is so fun to play, and it also has great representation because the story features over 85 characters from various different cultural backgrounds, as well as disabled and LGBTQA+ representation, which is something that I love to see in media. I've been playing this game for a little while now, and I'm really enjoying it. I love how intriguing the story is, I love how beautiful the visuals are, and I of course love that there's a strong female protagonist. These are all things that I look for when playing games, so it's definitely a game that I recommend checking out. You can download and play Switchcraft for free right now and unlock the magical mystery. I will leave a link in my description box for you to check it out. Please be sure to follow my link because doing so really helps the channel. A huge thank you to Switchcraft for sponsoring today's video. Alright, so for today's video, I'm going to be taking a few unedited photos that I have just kicking around, and I'm going to take you through the process of me editing each of them just to show you what I typically do. These are going to be very basic edits. They're not going to be anything too substantial. I might do a more substantial photo editing tutorial later on, but for right now, we're just going to do some basic edits, so let's get into it. Okay, so this is my second time filming this because my audio got messed up during the first try, so we're going to try this again. Let's do this. So we're going to start with this Vanessa photo that I have. This is going to be a very straightforward edit. I'm not going to do anything too crazy. I'm hoping that as these photos go along, the edits that I do will be more and more substantial, and therefore I'll be able to show you guys kind of more and more advanced edits, but we'll see how it goes. So for this, I am going to be using two programs. The first one is Photos, which is the free photo editor that comes with every Mac. An older version of this would be iPhoto. It was called iPhoto before it became Photos. So if you have an older Mac, you'll be looking for iPhoto. iPhoto does not have as diverse of an array of options for photo editing as Photos does. Photos goes a lot more in depth than iPhoto does, but if that's all you have to work with, you can totally make that work. I definitely recommend using Photos if you can. The ultimate holy grail, however, for photo editing would be Lightroom. If you can get Lightroom, that is a great tool to use. I unfortunately am too poor for Lightroom at the moment, so I don't have it, but if I had my choice, I would definitely use Lightroom. So for all of you PC users, that's probably what you'd want to use. For Mac users, if you're on a budget, you can totally use Photos or iPhoto, but if you are able to, I definitely recommend using Lightroom. Then the second program I'm going to be using is Photoshop. I'm using a very old version of Photoshop. My version is from 2007, so it is very much out of date. But it still does everything that I need it to do. It definitely works for me, so that's what I'm going to be using for today. If you are able to get the most recent version of Photoshop, that is what I would recommend using. You can get Lightroom and Photoshop as a package deal from Adobe for $20 a month. I am not sponsored. I just like these programs a lot. So that's definitely the route that I would recommend doing if you have the means for it. If you are not able to afford Photoshop, there are a lot of alternatives out there. There's GIMP, which is a free open source software that's meant to be like the free version of Photoshop. There's also things like Pixelmator, which is a one-time program purchase that you just buy it and it's yours forever, and it does pretty much all the same things that Photoshop does do, maybe not as well, but it still gets the job done. So there are lots of alternatives out there. Let me know what you guys use for photo editing. If there are any fellow photo editors out there, let me know what your go-to programs are. Maybe we can help each other out to find alternatives to Photoshop, but definitely if you're able to get Lightroom and Photoshop, that is what I recommend. So let's get into it. So we're gonna start off with this photo of Vanessa. There's not a whole lot I wanna do to this photo. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to take the brilliance down a little bit. That's just to make the backdrop kind of more, like if you look at it, it kind of brings the backdrop out more and makes me a little bit kind of brighter, right? So if we do it all the way, see, I get brightened and the backdrop gets darkened. So I want to do that just a little bit, just to bring myself kind of more towards the forefront of this photo, kind of make some contrast so that I stand out more. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my saturation and I'm going to just bring it up just a little bit, not too much, just to bring out my skin tone, my eyes, and some of the blues that we're seeing in this photo right around here. We just want to bring those out a little bit. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the warmth down just a little bit, just to make it a little bit more blue. I really like the blues in this photo and I want to bring them out more, so that's what I'm going to do for this photo. I think they match my eyes really nicely, so I want to just bring them out a little bit more just to kind of match my eyes. So yeah. All right, so next I'm going to go up to File, Export one photo, and I'm going to save it as a TIFF. If you save it as a JPEG, it is going to be lossy, which means that every time you open it, it's going to decrease in quality, which is not what we want. So I always save my images as TIFFs because that is a non-lossy format and most compatible, full size, all of that good stuff. And I just press export. And then I export it to my edits folder. All right, so then I'm gonna go into Photoshop and I'm just gonna do some very basic edits here. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna zoom in to 100% and I'm going to get rid of this hair that's on my tie because that is driving me crazy. So I'm just gonna use the patch tool to remove that. There we go, done. It never happened. Then I'm gonna go up to my face and I'm gonna get rid of some of my blemishes. So I'm just gonna use the healing brush for this. Very simple. Get rid of my makeup crease, get rid of my blemishes, just super quickly do all of that. After that, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this little stain on my pants. I'm going to use the patch tool for that as well because this is also bugging me. And just like that, it is gone. And that is pretty much it for this photo. That is all of the edits that I want to do. So how I'm going to save this is I'm going to go to File, Save for Web and Devices. What this does is this basically optimizes the photo for being posted on the web. One thing that sometimes happens when you post things online is the colors get desaturated. This was especially a problem on DeviantArt back in the day, so I would always save my photos like this. It's not so much a problem anymore, but it's still a good precaution to take just to optimize it for web and devices. So that's what I'm going to do. Here I'm just going to save it at 50% because it doesn't need to be the full resolution just for posting it on the web. Then I'm going to go to save and save that in my photo editing folder. And that is it for that photo. All right, so next up we're going to work on Chica. So the first thing I want to do here is I just want to crop the photo a little bit. What I want to do, there's a lot of space over here and I want to decrease that. So I'm just going to bring it in a little bit so that I'm more towards the middle, and to match that I'm just going to bring it in at the top as well, and I am happy with that. Then I'm going to go to my adjustments and I'm going to first up the saturation because for Glamrock Chico, we want it to be super saturated. So that's bringing out all these nice blues in the background. It's bringing out the pink of my outfit. Everything is looking very vivid and 80s, which is exactly what we want. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull the warmth slider just a touch, just to make it a little bit warmer, because before it was a little bit kind of cold, like the look of the photo was kind of cold. So I want to make it just a little bit warmer and just bring out some of the like warmth in my face. So there's not a whole lot because I'm painted white, so I guess it's not that warm, but like, you know what I'm saying. Yeah, then we have this awkward building in the background that's kind of a weird color. It's kind of this weird yellow in the background. So I'm gonna go to the selective color, hit yellow, and then I'm going to down the saturation so that it's more of a gray. And I feel like that looks a lot better. Now what it has done is it has taken away some of the green in my leg warmer. What I'm first going to do is I'm going to export this photo twice. So I'm going to go File, Export one photo, export it. Then I'm going to export a second one with the saturation all the way up just to bring back that color, and I'm going to go ahead and export that photo. Then I'm going to open them both in Photoshop, and I'm going to go Control C, and then I'm going to go to the photo with the vivid leg warmers and go Control V. Then I'm going to put the desaturated layer behind the saturated layer. Then I'm going to take the eraser tool, make it nice and big, make sure that it's nice and feathery, so bringing the hardness down to 0. Then I'm just going to erase the saturated building so that we just get the desaturated building. And there we go. So we still get the nice green in my hand warmers and leg warmers, but we don't get the weird yellow of that building in the background. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do for this photo is I'm going to merge those two layers just to make things easier. So merge layers. Perfect. Then I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to get rid of this bird poop on the ground because that is just not a good time for anybody. So I'm using the patch tool again just to get rid of that. Do that, do it again just to make that less obvious. And the rest of the floor looks pretty clean, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm not going to worry about my skin because I have body paint on, so it's actually pretty smooth. It's not too bad, and from a distance you really can't tell. Okay, now I'm going to play around with some gradients. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to take the eyedropper tool and I'm going to select this hot pink, and then I'm going to go to the gradient tool and just add a gradient to the side of the photo. Then I'm going to change the blending mode to screen to make it look more like light. Then I'm going to make another new layer, and this is going to be very experimental. I don't know how this is going to work, but we're going to try making one in green. So I'm going to do the same thing there, change that to green. That doesn't look too shabby, actually. We don't want it to be super obvious though, so I'm going to change the opacity to 50%. And I'll do that with the pink too, just so that it's there, but it's not like there, you know. The pink can be a little bit more vivid. There we go. Now I think some of the green is getting on my face and it's changing my complexion a little bit, like it's making me look green, which we don't want. So I'm going to take my nice big eraser, nice and soft, and I'm going to just erase around my face here just to get rid of that. There we go. All right, and I think I am happy with that. So with that, I can just go to Save for Web and Devices, save that photo at 50% size, apply, and we are good to go. So next we're going to work on Nobura. So the first thing I'm going to do here in photos is I'm going to bring the highlights way down because as you can see I'm kind of washed out. So I'm going to bring them way down just to bring my skin tone out and bring the color of the gels out because I really like the gel lighting and I want that to be very obvious. That's the first thing I'm going to do, and let's just play with the saturation a little bit. No, I don't like how that looks. I'm really happy with how this looks just as is, so I'm gonna go ahead and export this. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do for this photo, and the most important thing that I think needs to be done, is smoothing my skin. So I'm gonna give you guys a little tutorial on how to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna go Control J, which will duplicate the layer. Then I'm gonna do Control I, which will invert the layer. It looks horrifying, as you can see. Then I'm gonna go to the blending mode and change that to Vivid Light. Then I'm going to go to Filter, Other, High Pass, and put that on 24 pixels. Then I'm going to go to Blur, Gaussian Blur, and from there I can choose how smooth my skin is. So making it higher makes it less smooth, making it lower makes it more smooth. We don't want it to be too unrealistic looking, so I'm gonna go about there to 5.3. Then I'm going to hold down the Option key and press the mask button, which is down here. And I'm going to then take the brush tool and make sure that it's on white rather than on black. Oh, and the other thing you want to do is you want to make sure that the hardness of the brush is not at 100%. You want it to be lower. So I'm going to put it at 6%, and you can just paint on your smooth skin. How nice is that? So now I have this nice smooth skin, which I'm very happy about because I have acne scars and I don't like how they look. So this is nice and smooth. I do have a white head poking through my makeup up here, so I'm just gonna get rid of that because that is just not a good day for anybody. There we go. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some fake light because I have some blue gels in this photo, but I want the blue light to be even more obvious. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new layer, bring that to the top, and go to the gradient tool here. Then I'm going to use the eyedropper tool, so I just get that by pushing Option. I'm going to just take this shade of blue right here. Then I'm going to click and drag to make a gradient. Then I'm going to set the blending mode to screen to make it look like light. As you can see, it's really over the top right now, so I'm going to change the opacity to make it less obvious. So I'm going to leave it around 36%, so that makes it look like there's light, but it's not too obvious. And that is all I'm going to do for this photo. And that is an example of how I edit some of my cosplay photos. I really hope you found this helpful and that it gave you maybe some new tips and tricks to try when editing your own cosplay photos. And if you're totally new to photo editing, I hope that it gave you kind of a little taste of what it's like and will hopefully ease you into the process of editing your own cosplay photos. So anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Really appreciate it. Another reminder that you can check out Switchcraft by using the link in my bio. Again, doing so helps support the channel, so please be sure to check it out. It is a game that I really do recommend. It is very fun, it's very beautiful, and it has great representation, so please be sure to check it out. Thank you as always for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys all next time. But until then, Panda Faces, please be sure to take care. Bye!